Hello. Hello, Texas Study students. This is Coach Science, and today's video lesson will be on Chapter 4, Native Texans Vocabulary. You're going to need to draw 10 vocabulary diagrams in your notebook today, making sure that you write down the word, definition, breaking it down however you like, and a picture. Now, our first word for our vocabulary today will be the word historian. Historian is someone who studies and writes history. You can see the gentleman here, that nice beard right there. He's writing down history, or writing it down, studying, right? You guys this year are going to be historians. Throughout the whole year, we'll be studying and writing down history as we learn between eras as we go on throughout the year. Now make sure that you're writing down the word, the definition, and you draw a picture so you guys can later study it on. Our next vocabulary word is the word era. Era is a period of history with a particular characteristic. Now, as we can see here on the left side, right here in this picture, this is the era of exploration. We're going to be talking about that within the next few weeks, and this is where Christopher Columbus explores the New World. On our right here, we have the medieval era, where a lot of knights, a lot of types of swords, things like that, different eras, of history. The next vocabulary word today is the word prehistoric. Prehistoric is before written history. Now, prehistoric doesn't mean before history, it means before written history, as we can see there. In other words, before history actually began to be written down. Obviously, as you can see within this picture, there was nobody around to write about these guys while they were living, so we learned about them later and wrote about them later, which was actually before written history, which was where these dudes lived. Our next vocabulary word is the word culture. Culture is the knowledge, beliefs, and behaviors and traits of a group of people. Now, here in this picture, we see a perfect example of culture, Mexican culture. We usually see here, what are these called, guys? That's right, they're called mariachis. As you can see here, these mariachis are usually played at birthday parties, quinceañeras, and you especially see them in weddings. These mariachi groups are often seen a lot, especially down here in the Rio Grande Valley. As you can see in this picture, the Native Americans dancing here, all right, they also have their own beliefs, behaviors, and traits that distinguish them and their culture. As we can see there, they have their own beliefs and knowledge that separates them from different groups of people. Another way that cultures can be displayed is within the different religions of this world. Here we have two very different religions. Here we have a young man participating in his bar mitzvah, or as the Jewish people call it, when a boy becomes a young man. And here we have to the right what we normally see a lot of here in the Rio Grande Valley, which is the Catholics when they pray the rosary. This is the two different religions that make up different cultures around the world. The next vocabulary word that we're going to talk about is the word artifact. An artifact is an object made by humans that tells us something about the past. As we can see here in these two pictures, here we have a few arrowheads that were used on arrows and flint spears to throw and kill animals to be able to survive. Now at the bottom here, we have an Egyptian statue that was just outside the pyramids. Now, we can't exactly see the face anymore, but we see the writing along the wall there, along the bottom base of this. This is called hieroglyphics. These tell a story, or tell us exactly, these two items here tell us exactly how humans were able to live in the past. Now our next vocabulary word is the word nomad. Nomad is a person who moves from place to place with no permanent home. As we can see in this picture, we have people here on horseback moving, right? And from the bottom of these mountains, here we have a family living in this tent. Now, nomads travel a lot, move from place to place. They don't have a permanent home, anywhere to stay. So they usually travel in packs, as we see here, or in a group of people. Or what they do is when they travel, they move in temporary dwellings. That means in things that can be picked up easily and moved across great distances. We're going to learn in our Texas history that many tribes in Texas, that's what they would do. They were nomads. They would travel from area to area, region to region of Texas, just picking their things up and moving from place to place with not a permanent home. Our next vocabulary word is the word adobe. Adobe is a brick made of sun-dried earth and straw. As you can see here in this picture, all right, this brick is made up of mud, sun-dried materials with straw mixed together to make these homes right here. We're actually going to study a group of native Texans, Native Americans, that would build these homes, right, and that use them and were able to live in them successfully. Now, many of these types of adobe homes are still used today. You see them a lot in Mexico, down south in Mexico. You see them a lot in New Mexico and in the mountains basins region of Texas. These houses actually keep cool throughout the summer because of how they are made. Even though it can be hot, scorching hot outside, they keep it cool in tight inside the house. And in the winters, when you would warm it up from the inside, it keeps the heat inside, compact inside. Our next vocabulary word is the word treaty. Treaty is a contract between nations or people. Now in this picture you can see our current U.S. President Barack Obama signing a treaty with former Russian Prime Minister. Now, treaties are usually signed so that two nations could be at peace. At peace. That's why they're signed. So nothing bad can happen to them in between them. That's why they do this, so they wouldn't go to war with each other. Now, as we go on throughout the rest of the year, we're going to learn about so many treaties and how things are put together to where they can be peace between many people, different nations or different people, as it says there in our vocabulary word. The next vocabulary word that we have today is the word descendants. Descendants are people descended from specific ancestors. You guys are descendants of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and some of you who even have great-great-grandparents still alive, and so on and so forth. That is what you call your family tree. Now here's a family tree, as you can see here. Now this family tree is the family tree of England. Here we can see Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh, which is over there in London and Europe and all that, is Philip. They had kids, which is right here. Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Duke of York, Andrew, and their other son, Edward. Okay? From there we see down here, Prince of Wales, Charles, his former wife, Princess Diana, their kids, William and Harry, and now we see that William is married to Kate, which all of you guys know. Most of you guys are familiar with this couple right here, this queen and the new king and queen of England, and their children. That is the descendants, right, and the family tree line that is shown here in this picture. Even you guys have a family tree. Ask your mom and dad. That way you can write it at home, who their names are, and you can see how your family tree looks like. Or you can join our history genealogy club after school so you can find out who your family tree is and who is in it. So talk to Mr. Johnson, you can talk to myself, Coach Saenz, or you can talk to Coach Gutierrez or Mr. Almeida, 8th grade, or Mr. Hernandez for signing up for the genealogy club to find out what your family tree looks like. Our next vocabulary word is going to be reservations. Reservation is a tract of public land set apart for the use of American Indian people. Here you see a picture of the Alabama Coushatta tribe of Texas, which we'll be learning about here in the next few days. Now, these tribes are allowed to practice whatever they please. The U.S. government has allowed them to do whatever they want within their lands and their lands only. They practice anything that their tribe requires or what they do, their culture, how that's what they practice. Well, to continue with that, although it's illegal to gamble in Texas, there is a few tribes here in Texas that allow or that have gambling casinos there. If many of you guys or many of your parents are familiar with the Kickapoo Casino in Eagle Pass, Texas, was just about 4 hours northwest of here, northwest. That's where they have a big casino where families go and they stay there the night and they can gamble. And that Indian tribe is called the Kickapoo Indian tribe. But because the gambling and the casino is within the reservation, remember, the U.S. allows these Indian tribes to do whatever they please or whatever allows for them their culture to do. They allow these practices. This completes our Chapter 4 vocabulary video lesson. This is Coach Science signing out.